The Washington Redskins travel to Philadelphia to take on their NFC East division rival Eagles on Sunday. Washington is currently installed as a 5.5-point favorite in this game on BETDAQ. 44.5 is the total. Now, the Redskins have been rolling. This is a team that, after they lost their sixth game, they lost to go 3-6. You remember Mike Shanahan stood at the podium in his post-game press conference and basically declared the season over. He said the rest of this season was going to be used to evaluate young players. He cited the statistics on how difficult it was for an NFL team to make the playoffs after starting 3-6. Well, since then, the Redskins have won 5 straight games, and they have covered every single time. They've been a great team to back recently, including last week when they played their first game of the year without RG3. Robert Griffin III, of course, has been maybe the story of the NFL this year. Has really exploded on the scene, has had a great rookie season. And because of that, because Robert Griffin has been so good and he's clearly a star, he's going to be around for a long time, I think people overlooked just what Mike Shanahan and his son Kyle Shanahan, who's the offensive coordinator, did with the Washington offense. They completely redesigned the offense from what it has been over the last couple of seasons and from what Mike Shanahan has done throughout his NFL coaching career. And remember, this is a guy who has won Super Bowls doing it his way on offense, but completely redesigned that offense this year to take advantage of Robert Griffin III's skill set. This is a guy that runs it as well as he passes it. And last week we saw that even when Griffin went out, in comes Kirk Cousins, rookie from Michigan State, who was never that impressive at Michigan State, to be honest. And Kirk Cousins lit up the Cleveland Browns 38 points. So I think now that we see that with Griffin or without Griffin, now I'm not saying Griffin's not important, because certainly I don't think that if Kirk Cousins were playing for the rest of the season, I don't think they'd have as good a chance as they do with Robert Griffin III playing for the rest of the season. But we see that it's not just Griffin that's making this Washington offense go. This is great play design. I mean, this is football genius on the part of Mike and Kyle Shanahan to take a team. I mean, let's face it. We're talking about Robert Griffin, a rookie quarterback, Alfred Morris, the running back, wide receivers like Leonard Hankerson, Pierre Garçon. I mean, this is not a Pro Bowl-looking roster, but the results, I mean, you can't argue with the results. 4th in the NFL in total offense, 5th in points scored. They lead the NFL in rush yards per game. Again, Alfred Morris, an unheard of, unheralded rookie running back, is their main threat in addition to Robert Griffin III running the ball. So it's remarkable what the Redskins have been able to do. They've done it all despite the fact they have a bad defense. And Washington's defense was actually the strength of the team last year. So it's a little bit of surprise they've been so bad on defense this season, but they have been bad. 29th in the NFL in yards per game allowed, 30th in pass defense. This Redskins defense is especially bad in the secondary, but they've been so good on offense, they've just been able to overcome it every week. And this week, they're playing the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that is bad on both sides of the ball. Now, it's most surprising that the Eagles are bad on offense. This is a team that is 29th in the NFL in points scored, and ever since Andy Reid has been the head coach there, and Reid, of course, the longest tenured head coach in the NFL, even though that may change soon, but ever since he's been the head coach there, the Eagles have had a good offense, and they're expected to be good again this year. I mean, you look at the playmakers they have. I just read out what Washington's dealing with. Robert Griffin, Alfred Morris, Leonard Hankerson, Pierre Garçon, guys like that. Well, the Eagles, they've got Michael Vick, LaShawn McCoy, Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin. Explosive playmakers who've proven it before in the NFL. They were not able to do it this season. Now, they don't have all of those guys anymore. Vick is now the third-string quarterback. Deshaun Jackson's on IR. They will be getting LaShawn McCoy back this week. Jeremy Maclin also expected to play. And Brent Selleck, the tight end, will be returning from his concussion. The big concern with the Eagles, they still have Nick Foles playing quarterback. This guy has looked lost for the most part. Now, he did put up big numbers on the road in a win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a couple of weeks ago, but the Bucs have the worst secondary in the NFL statistically. However, I just mentioned Washington next or near the worst. Washington is 30th out of 32 teams, so a similar type secondary this week. We'll see if Foles can have similar type success. I don't have much faith in that happening. I don't have much faith in the Philadelphia Eagles at all. I've made some good money over the second half of the season fading the Eagles. The Eagles have been among the very worst teams in the NFL to back this season, along with the Oakland Raiders. They are 3-10-1 against the spread. That's right. They've only covered 3 times in 14 games. That is awful. And we mentioned their problems on offense. Their defense has been just as bad. Since they fired Juan Castillo midseason, the defensive coordinator, they've played 8 games. Now, before firing Castillo, they had played 6 games. They had not allowed 28 points in any one of those games. Since firing Castillo, they have allowed 28 or more in 7 out of 8 games. So Firing Juan Castillo has clearly not worked. This is a bad defense combined with a bad offense. The Washington Redskins, who if the season ended today, by virtue of the tiebreakers, they would be crowned the NFC East champs. They are on a roll. I do like them to go on the road and win this game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, to be honest with you, the 5.5 points makes me a little uncomfortable. These are division rivals. Philadelphia, there's not much you can say good about Philadelphia, but Washington does have a bad defense, and Nick Foles did play well the last time he saw a really bad secondary. So, I don't know, 5.5 points here, a division opponent on the road. Washington's obviously on the road, facing a division opponent, laying 5.5 points. A little bit uncomfortable with that. I would rather see a Washington money line bet, even though I know that won't pay nearly as well. Excuse me. So I do lean towards Washington in this game. I guess I lean towards them covering the 5.5. I do think they're going to win the game. I also have a lean towards over 44.5 here.